Sisters of the moon, we gather once more. We celebrate the moon of love and life and Mother Earth. Let us see the circle as ancient time, moving, standing side by side, holding hands, becoming one. Sisters of the moon, we gather once more. Celebrate the moon of love and life and Mother Earth. Let us see the circle as in ancient times, standing side by side, holding hands, becoming one.
The vision of the Moon Lodge began in 1987. At that time, I had founded an organization called Women's Spirit Rising of Costa Mesa, and we had developed a ceremony called Women Who Bleed for Life, which we took on the road and performed throughout the United States. This ceremony was a 4-hour journey that women went on. It began with the time of menarche and remembering that experience for good or bad, or indifference, and reconnecting with the womb center, arriving at a place where each woman was able to find a blood name, becoming anointed with the menses, not actual blood, but mother's blood, the earth blood, and becoming the wild woman, dancing her power, her sacred divinity awake, and then mellowing into the center of her own personal power. Finally, in 1993, the reality of having a permanent structure to hold the Moon Lodges took place. Our first gathering, we had 35 women in attendance. Eventually, it dwindled down to a core of 15. 2 years later, today in 1995, we still have that original core of 15 women. The lodge gatherings began, or the emphasis was on having women come together to relearn and reclaim their body, to rethink the menstrual matrix, to relearn the truth about our bleeding, our ovulation, PMS, conscious conception, menarche, and menopause. Each gathering is held at new moon, and we come together and take a look at one of those aspects and have a teaching on it and then a ceremony.
I am female, one with the full moon on tides. I am female, my body contains the mystery of life and birth.
Throughout the year, we go through various rites of passages. For example, in the first year that the lodge was a permanent structure and we held the moon gatherings, I used the Women Who Bleed for Life ceremony as a format. So at the first gathering, I led the women back into their time of menarche. This is a very healing experience because in our culture, we simply do not celebrate menarche or menstruation or menopause for that matter. We do not celebrate rites of passages. When women go through this rite of passage, they really get in touch with their power.
In January of '94, it had been the 10th anniversary of my menarche experience. I began my bleeding in January of 1984. So in moving back, I was able to go and experience all the feelings that that little girl child wasn't necessarily able to experience or express at the time. My family had neither a positive image or a negative image of moon time, of menstruation. It was just very neutral. And so those first experiences, I had a lot of fear and I had a lot of questions, but I also had a lot of joy and excitement, if for no other reason that now I was just like my big sisters who were about 10 years older than myself and had been doing this for quite a long time. So in moving back, it was very important for me to be able to experience all the fear and go back with all the questions. But more importantly, being allowed to move back in time and re-experience the joy and the celebration and the sacredness that I wasn't necessarily allowed to experience or told was normal or acceptable. So that experience just let me dance and sing and celebrate and honor that part of my womanhood that I've always known was sacred, somehow even as a child knowing that something special had happened, that a major rite of passage was occurring. Yet I didn't have the community or the support to move me through that rite of passage. So it enabled me to really become a full woman. Until that experience, something was really lacking in my life, and it was that menarche journey and going back with the grandmothers, receiving my blood name, and experiencing that place of power in myself that until then others had denied and myself also had denied. Accepting it, celebrating it, allowed me to be more of a whole and complete woman.
When we work more closely with the moon time as women and with other women, we can connect on a spiritual level. We can connect back up with the matriarchal grandmothers who can then direct us, adding insight and depth into our lives, which has been missing from our communities.
Tonight, Wisdom Wind Clan has a sharing to give you. And so I will begin with my voice. Listening to the inner silence, searing deep into the blood pool, red power reflecting deeply the changes opening for my soul. Hearing now the words of wisdom rising up like a red mist. Grandmother, speak. Speak to me. Tell me the path to seek. Spirit walk. Now I'm leaving, moving down through corridors deep into the underworld where all ancestors dwell. Light of star, power bright, guiding me between the worlds, easing into a sacred rite, celebrating woman power and goddess life. Speaking now, my voice is heard, the inner truth so sincere, mighty goddess sister circle, joining, weaving, healing, power, calling out, my voice is heard, leaving silence to yesteryear, woman's voice strong with power, leading us past the tumbling tower, fall down into dust, ripping free the chains of rust, flying through the raging fire into the heart of woman desire, easing now into my comfort of having been heard, possibly causing others discomfort. But joy and freedom, peace and power, wisdom and grace now shine in my face. Grandmothers, grandmothers, I'm home, I'm home. Goddess, save the crones, the mothers, the maidens. Goddess, save the voice of woman power. Blessed be.
The Moon Lodge is a place for our voices as women to be heard.
In June of 1994, we faced the impending war between the U.S. and North Korea. In order to counter the war efforts, we held a ceremony asking for peace.
Listen to the women. See the children. Feel your connection to the whole. Where is your respect for the world, the people, the earth, the children, the stars, the animals, your own self? This is our home. We love, laugh, cry, throw tantrums, work, and sing here. We all want to stay here with her, our Earth Mother. Do not destroy her. Do not destroy the connections. Do not destroy our cycles.
I'm feeling the terror again, the terror and fear I felt as I watched and listened as a little child. Helplessness in children is real. I do not want my children to experience my fear, my terror, my nightmares. It is now apparent that our lives, my life, need to change. This is to rid ourselves of the feelings of inadequacy we as women tend to carry in this violent society. We must speak the truth to the, quote, higher ups, unquote. No big words. Truth is simple.
If we don't personally speak out and take responsibility, who will speak for us? And if I care only for myself, who will defend me? Our mother speaks to us and shows us the way. We need to listen, learn, and be her voice.
The terror keeps growing and fear overwhelms me. My whole life, just 22 years, has been spent this way. I remember waking up to odd sounds, airplanes, trains, helicopters, anything I didn't immediately recognize in the middle of the night, thinking it must be some missile flying overhead, and then waiting for the flash of light and disintegration into dust. That fear has been with me my whole life, and it's not fair. That's the anger. Anger, anger, anger. I can't afford a college education, but another bomb has been built. Children are starving, but we have jet fighter planes. People, human beings are dying, but we keep preparing for war under the cover of supposedly keeping the peace. I do not understand. I'm sad, I'm scared, I'm shocked, I'm into disbelief, and I'm angry, and I want change. I feel a resurgence of strength because it's like a rallying cry for peace. In this strength, my sadness and shock and fear and anger can dwell, just as powerful as before, but now with intent and defined purpose, for change and for peace.
It feels overwhelming. It almost always has. And I'm sure that I have desensitized, but I will make a difference.
All I'm asking you to dedicate is to writing one letter to the president. So anybody else above that you want to write to, your congressman, your senator, your representatives, you do that. Because the more people you write to, the more you reach. Yeah, so do what moves you.
Our voices as women are powerful in ceremony and when we take that voice out into the world.
May peace prevail on earth.
In the ancient days and ancient times, particularly in the Native American tradition, when the women were bleeding, they would gather together and sequester themselves off from the tribe. And at that time, they would work with their power, the blood power. It was their sacred time, and they would support each other during that bleeding time. In modern times, when we come together, we aren't always bleeding, but we gather each month to celebrate the blood mysteries. We gather together to support ourselves and to support each other in our woman power. And when I speak of power, I don't mean power the way that we're trained to think of power as in money or politics. I'm talking about a personal power, a self-esteem that can be found through connecting with the blood mysteries. In our society, we still don't talk about menstruation. It's still a taboo subject. If we do talk about it among ourselves, most women are complaining about it, but certainly not celebrating it. And in the Moon Lodge, we celebrate this blood time.
In our clan tonight, we were talking about this little diagram. This whole biology section of our body, that's all the power. That's the cave. That is the cauldron of the woman power, of the goddess power within each one of us. And no matter how aware we are of our menstrual cycle, we need to also be very, very aware of this part of our body. Because by knowing this part of our body, we teach our children about this part of the body. By knowing that the vulva, or our cunt lips, okay, because we're reclaiming the word cunt, right? We're not allowing it to be used in a harmful way toward our children, our girls anymore, or as women anymore. We're reclaiming that word from a very powerful healing perspective. So the cunt lips, the vulva, is the entrance into the cave, the great, deep, mysterious cave of woman power. It is the alluring power of woman. This is the bear shaman pose.
This is done during times when you are seeking healing for your woman power and your spirituality. And it's done on your knees hip distance apart, okay, with your toes coming together like this, so that you are holding them as an anchor behind you for balance. Hands and fists, knuckles together, right over the belly button and the solar plexus, not below, but above it, so that the bottom of your fists are lined up with your navel, okay? Because we're connecting up with the willpower as well as the voice of the grandmothers at this point. And as you are like this, your elbows are out. So it's a rigid position that you hold on this one. And your shoulders are relaxed, not like this, but like this. And the head is tilted, and the eyes are closed. And as you hold this position, the great bear goddess comes behind you and squats. And she takes her great paws and brings you back into her belly. Did you notice how I tilted back a little? She brings you back into her belly, and your head is resting on her breasts. And she takes her paws and holds your head, transmitting her wisdom.
When I first started Moon Lodge, I was still referring to myself as a girl. The W word was very taboo to me, and I could not refer to myself in relation to being a woman. And through the course of Moon Lodge, it's taught me to very much embrace being a woman and owning my power, being responsible for my choices, my body, my femininity, and it's been a very empowering experience.
The Moon Lodge has become a place of special significance for me because over the past few years, I've been able to realize that a part of my life path that I need to walk is to become a midwife. And the Moon Lodge really supports me in this because the Lodge is such a place that honors women and honors the natural cycles of life, whether it be being a young girl or a maiden with her menarche experience, a full bleeding woman, a mother going through childbirth, or a grandmother going through the time of menopause. All those natural cycles are honored in their natural form. There's no seeing or claiming them as disease or that something's wrong or evil or cursed about any of those cycles. And that's going to be a part of my path as a midwife, is working with women throughout the community, whether or not they're involved in the goddess community or within the lodge community. I can reach out to them and help them to experience and understand these natural cycles within themselves as perfectly natural and in fact very beautiful and sacred.
The Moon Lodge has really helped me get close to my moon cycles and have it so ingrained into my life that it just is like part of my breathing every day, and lining myself up with the cycles of the moon and the earth, and being very conscious of being a part of my universe. In a month-to-month time, it's helped me to stop and focus in, when it is my moon time, on what's going on with my body. I'm getting a lot more body awareness each month and zeroing in on issues of my life that need more clarity.
There's a power that comes from the female nurturing aspect that is really fulfilling if you embrace it and let it come through and believe in it. The end of the year retreat that we had was really special to me. I really enjoyed it. It was an eye-opening time for me because it showed me how women relate to each other, which has kind of been a lesson that I've learned through the Moon Lodge meetings, but it really came through to me at the retreat. Everybody seemed to be working together. There seemed to be a positive atmosphere. Everybody seemed to be enjoying themselves.
Last year we had a workshop We painted a goddess mural, made power sticks and blood masks. The day culminated with a ceremony to honor the sisterhood. The retreats are a chance for all of the women from the community to come together for a day and to experience our connection as women, to honor ourselves and this connection, as well as prepare the women for the true initiation into the living sisterhood. In the past 25 years, there has been an incredible surge of the women's spirituality movement. The Moon Lodge outweighs traditions, religions, and political structures. It's all of that and none of that. Its age is old and yet brand new for us. Living it and experiencing it is the great gift for us. In essence, what we're doing in the Lodge is enacting the true women's politics. Here, women are able to be supported and honored for their special gifts and abilities that they bring with them or want to develop. That's why we created clans.
Each clan is different. One clan works with herbs for healing. Another clan performs music. The communication clan records all the Moon Lodge events. It's a way for the women to get in small groups and become more familiar with and support one another. Sharing with each other teaches us. Each clan has a specialty and shares it with the Lodge as a whole. During the first year of the Moon Lodge, I was the clan mother for Wisdom Wind Clan. The intent of our clan when it was formed was to be a communication clan, to not only record the herstory of the Moon Lodge, but also to communicate to the outside world the changes in the magic and the power that occurred within the Moon Lodge, to communicate to women outside of us, and to share, to make available to women, to other women, the things that went on with our Moon Lodge.
Together, sisters, we listen and hear the truth. We manifest our sacred oracle. Together, sisters, we speak the truth. May peace prevail on earth. Together, sisters, we love the truth. We dance the power of our mysteries. And together, sisters, we serve the truth. We are women who heal ourselves. Together, sisters, we live the truth. We are the dreamers of the visions. Together, sisters, we walk the truth. We weave the web of life. Together, sisters, we have planted seeds of change. We have nurtured, grown, illuminated, reclaimed, released. Together, sisters, we have become the vision.
I wanted to give something back to all the women that had supported me through the Moon Lodge, the women that I had gathered with every month for a year, had given me so much. Just being in circle with them every month had filled me and brought me to a realization of my own feminine power. And I wanted to return that some way. And there was an opportunity to become Lodge Mama, and I spoke up right away and said, yes, I want to do that. The future of the Moon Lodge holds whatever the women of the Moon Lodge need. The Moon Lodge is a changing organism. It's made up of the women who belong to the Moon Lodge, the women who come each month and gather. And so I see the Moon Lodge continuing to change and support the women as they change and aid us in moving into our wholeness, the wholeness of our woman power.
When the women can one day
be able to manage the world once again with true support, then we will really and truly have a peaceful world, one that is committed to harmony and balance and love and family and taking care of each other and love. And I support that day. And I believe that in our reality, in many, many ways, it's happening here. And that in that 100th monkey vibration, it will keep going and never stop. Blessed be.